Welcome back, Loss of Lieutenant listeners, viewers, fans. I'm Jacob, and I'm back with another look at the Gen Con reinforcement exclusive pack. Hold on, of it. Yeah, at the Caskuda Vs Maximus Preorder exclusive pack. Taking a look at the Caskuda. As you can see, if you've watched the Maximus one, we've got a bit more of a complicated model here. Obviously, being S6, S7, parts are bigger. It's going to be taller and a bit more of an imposing miniature. First look at it. I do like again the detail that's in this mini. Very much like it in a similar fashion as Maximus, in the fact that I think it does look great. As far as like the little details and stuff, they come out brilliantly. In the sidecast, I'm honestly not really seeing. I'm not seeing any like issues, deformities. Same with Maximus, and here it's no different. This is a mean-looking combi rifle, but if you've seen the profile of this thing, practically a short-ranged HMG. One thing I did want to note is when you take a look at the box art for the Caskuda, this is the shoulder pads. If you take a look at the box art for the shoulder pads, hold on. You find that it's sort of like this pink, like bug muscle gooey. I don't really know how to describe it. You'd have to take a look. But it looks like something that would have been textured into these sorts of parts. However, these parts here are completely smooth. So when you take a look at the Caskuda, a lot of the parts that are like a pink color are actually smooth, and the texture is given by the painter. So kudos to the guy who did the paint job. But if you want that sort of look, you're gonna have to pick up some sort of stippling technique or what have you to give it that texture, because these are smooth. Another thing to note, again, you get a nice sort of special base that comes with this pre-order pack. As a Steelphalanx player, I'm a little bit upset that there are Myrmidon helmets, ALEF combi rifles or O12 combi rifles. We've also got like an ALEF bot's leg, ALEF sword. So clearly, the Caskuda is fucking dominating the assault subsection in this particular battlefield, because it's just littered with ALEF parts. Other than that, it's obviously not quite as as imposing a figure as the old Caskuda, which was this giant hunk of metal. The wings, that was one of the reasons I kind of liked the old Caskuda in like sort of a novelty sort of thing, is that it had the cellophane for wings. These are just two pieces, but it keeps with sort of the bug look. You've got sort of the spines, but also just kind of gives that sort of bug feel. One thing I'm not too sure about, it's not so much in the Caskuda because it's sort of like a cool like helmet with a horn on it. It's sort of the rhino bug look they're going for the Caskuda. I haven't really had enough time to process it to determine whether like I love it, hate it, meh about it. But definitely on the Caskuda, I love it. I think it looks really cool. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe let's start with cleaning. Start with cleaning the leg that's got sort of a slot in this base. So again, we've got a couple of little nubs. Now, these are always confusing, especially on combined army models. It is not supposed to be there, but with all the spikes and everything, you'd be honestly excuse for mistaking them as part of the model and being sidecast. They're just um, kind of floppy. So I mentioned before, I mentioned in the Maximus video about getting rid of mold lines and stuff like that using the back of the X-Acto blade. So I'm just going to sort of demonstrate that now here. Right, so you do here, and it's quite rough on the actual model, so you really want to be gentle with it. If you don't, you really can really sort of dig in. You also sort of have to cut off sidecast instead of sort of shaving them off those little bits and sort of dig them back out so they're on top. There's not a huge amount of mold line there. A little bit here, and just against the surface, run the X-Acto blade, sort of cut it off. And you can see maybe it's not making quite as smooth of a finish just with that as you might like, but we'll come back with the emery board and fix that up, which I do right now because in all honesty, oh, hold on, at the back here. Yeah, so we just run the back of our blade. Right, just take off that excess material. Right, when you get into these corners, you might have to get the actual blade out, blade side out, cut down that mold line, try and get it out there. It's fine. Yeah, so go back. Depending on how stubborn it is, you can start with sort of the harsher, more gritty side. Just looking to, again, gently run it over this, where the mold line is, sort of tilting it because this is a round surface. The last thing you want to do is file it or make it flat, and then you just come back with this polish. It really does just slowly cut down on those mold lines. There you go. Those are just gone. Feel them, can't really see them. Still got a smooth round surface, so long as you sort of tilt your hand back and forth like that. Obviously on a flat surface, you don't have to bother. Just run it over. It really does just sort of get rid of those lines without the need to really deal with all that fluff and try and cut it off, and then come back and do it again, and then cut more of that sort of sidecast fluff off. I'm sure if you've got sort of like the Japanese foam boards, it work just as well. This is just a bit cheaper, a bit more readily available. So here we had a bit more aggressive foam lines. We might come in with the harsher side. A good job. Use the edge of it here along that sort of armor plating line. Come back in. Polishing side. I didn't take enough of that off. Yeah, so it's not gonna really get through like a big sort of flash, I guess, of sidecast. It's not in any time frame that I'd be happy with, but that's the wrong side. But it will most definitely cut through like smaller mold lines. Flip it around. Unfortunately, it's just coming off. One thing is modeling applications are a little bit harsh for, this is just for nails. Here. The harsher side, because it's a little bit more pronounced. Come back with the polishing. And yeah. I might dig into that first. A bit more. The idea with the back of the blade is just to sort of even it out. This really starts to get it nice and smooth again. So yeah, it's a little bit more work than metal or resin. Right? Yeah, I may have spent a bit more on this piece than I would have. We're out of that, but ultimately still getting CB quality minis. I'll admit, I probably, along with a lot of other people, I am surprised that these weren't the new plastic resin. I get the feeling there just hasn't been enough time for them testing them out with the Marut and the IR, sort of transition anything to them. That's a speculation on my part. Again, go in with the polishing. Get rid of, maybe I'll go with the rougher side for a second here. The polishing side. That's brilliant. Again, with this side here, no one's ever going to see the bottom of this. It can be as much of a hack job as I want, so long as it's a bit flatter so that it sits on its model, which again, with any old metal model that had a nub on its feet. Just cut those off. That off. Could go around this, smooth all this off. See, oh, it's a bit bright, but sort of that's what it looks like right now. Right, that's what it's like after just sort of applying the rougher side. You can see that that bump's gone away substantially. It's sort of the polishing side. You get quite a smooth sort of finish. So that's great. I'm not going to bother getting rid of like these little bits, just the side of the base. Oh, no, imagine that leg goes like that. Right. I'll keep cutting off a couple of the bits, a couple of the nubs, and then I'll take a cut and actually clean it all up. But see here, really other than that nub, here, there's nothing really to get rid of on that, which I think is his chest piece. Take a look at the shoulders. Out. I'll have to go in, obviously, clean up that a bit more. But other than the obvious, there's nothing wrong with that piece. Nothing with those pieces. When I say the obvious, it's just obviously got to clean up where those little. Oh, I wish I could remember what the actual name is, but these little sort of fill connection parts were. Again, I think this is the knee. No real mold lines or any sort of defects to speak of. But yeah, these really are still nice models. Just take a little bit more $10 in care. Work with. As the materials go, and another $5 tool. So obviously I've seen the Caskudas. I'll have to do the similar thing to the marksman rifle on Maximus, which is come in and sort of pull off the weapons mold lines and then smooth them out with the board. Profile. And yeah, they are now having a drop assault explosive tag is certainly something that I look at and and then I guess worried about. I do wonder how it's going to affect gameplay, especially because it is dropping on such a high number. Is uh, oh, I've got the wrong profile up. I have the reinforcement one, which doesn't have the combat jump explosive on it, but the Caskuda having that sort of explosive combat jump is scary prospect, and I'm not sure how it's going to affect combined army players. I'm not sure how it's going to affect the game in general. Tag up in your face is obviously always going to be something to be worried about, and even more so given the fact that he has that it's +1 burst, I think, +2 damage AP combi rifle. So it's an AP heavy machine, like short range heavy machine gun of sorts. And I suppose the range is not something that you really need to worry about when you're combo jumping into your enemy's face. So, yeah, it's a tricky one in what impact he's actually going to have. Do you think he's quite cheap for what he is? God. I have to see how that fits and how much I'm supposed to cut off. Again, seeing issues on any of these larger pieces, then needing to smooth out these cutting points that I'm doing. But that's par for the course on any miniature. But he also seems to take the role of what I'm seeing in a lot of other. Again, I don't know whether that spike's supposed to be there. I'm assuming it's not. Do I have another piece that's like that? Oh, I do. Kind of. Yes. No. Really? It's in the middle of a plate. The thing I want to do is make a mistake like that. Take a look at images of him, but I don't think that's supposed to be there. Yeah, he also seems to take the form of the extra burst template sort of profiles we're seeing all over the place. So I think the for Ariadne, who's the sort of epitome of that. He has a burst +2, I should say, combi rifle, and just dropping down with that is just a scary prospect. And the Caskuda sort of seems to typify that sort of thing as well. I mean that +1 damage 15 chain rifle. And I can see why CB have done it for the reinforcements, because the idea is they sort of come out, they land, and they just unleash like like a array of templates against their opponents. Up close, it makes sense. You're having something dropping in up close, he needs to be able to do something really good up close. Anyway, I'm going to come back. I'm going to clean up the rest of these pieces. We're going to sort of stick the Caskuda together and see what it looks like all put together. But like sort of, I guess before I go and do it sort of off camera, yeah, looking at this model, same with Maximus, there's not like a lot of like difficult to deal with mold issues or anything like that. Like just there's like just a little nub of some sort of plastic, come with the pliers, bam, cut it off, it's gone, not an issue anymore. And there's no real like aggressively in the way mold lines, except for maybe on the weapons, um, because of the tight corners, so they can be a bit of a pain to deal with. But again, a bit of patience, back of X-Acto knife, emery board, you're good. All right, I'll come back, I'll clean them up, and we'll start sticking them together. Oh, and we're back. Again, not a difficult cleanup process, longer than it would take on a metal resin model. But I think mostly it's just the Caskuda has so many parts. But anyway, let's start putting this guy together. Let's just start with what I think is his torso here, which fits beautifully together. There's no real gaps anywhere, which is nice to see. I know that this has come on a couple of times, at least I've seen on Facebook, but I'm just not seeing the issue here. Right, they all look really nice. They fit well together. We pop on the little Caskuda head. Maybe it's a theme for this pre-order pack is we've got lots of really gigantic miniatures with teeny weeny heads. Try I'm putting that one in correctly. I might come back to that one. Here's our hip piece here. Do this. Helps if you put it in the right way. There we are. Always a nice thing about CB models is without instructions you can still figure out how to put the damn things together. Which I don't know if I could say about the models I've tried to put together before. Or after. Is that what these are? I'm going to have to admit my ignorance here. And that I'm not entirely sure how the Caskuda goes together. Let's take a look-see. Head is definitely supposed to fit underneath little collar bit. Oh, well, that helps if you put him in the right way. There you go. It does fit. I'm not even sure how I managed to get the head to fit in any sort of way that I thought it was in the right orientation. There we go. Okay, again, it fits nicely with the head underneath that color, which I really like. Just when any mini sort of has like the armor and then sort of the flesh coming out of it. I had to figure out how to put his hips together. Well, I know that's his arms, it's his shoulders, it's his gun. These go on his back here. And then he did a bit more cleanup. Come back to that one. Oh, so did that. Well, I'll come back and do his wings last. Alright, so I don't look like a complete idiot, I'll do some dry fitting and try and figure out actually how this guy goes together and be back. Okay, I think I figured it out. This little piece here, anyone who goes to put them together, little piece there. Right, that's his hip. That's his waist, I should say, because he's got two little, like, sort of a step there. And there is a step piece down here. Okay. One final little stupid thing by me. Hopefully the last one. Right, that's how he's actually supposed to go together. Okay. Okay. That must be his little butt piece again. I'm gonna have to come back and clean that up a little bit more than what I had already done. That's on me. Yeah, I'm just gonna make sure. Where it's supposed to go. Looks about right. Something I always do is I try and see, put the legs right and everything, as if they're sort of legs are level. But I'm not sure. This is actually kind of stumping me. Just sort of concerned because I don't want to put them together. It's one thing you always appreciate about metal miniatures. Is the fact that if you stuff it up, acetone gets rid of it, all the glue, and you're good. But obviously, you put these guys in acetone, they're gonna melt. So we'll come back to them. Its arms together. A little bit simpler, just putting on shoulder pads. what I might do is I might put the arms together, match them to the body, and use them as a guide to how they're actually supposed to go together. So like I said, I always like to put the glue into the piece with the actual recess. Let's not put shoulder pad on upside down. Beautiful. As far as cleaning up the gun goes, very similar to Maximus's mold lines, sort of on the top and on the bottom, sort of throughout. Again, back of Zacto blade, emery board, bit of elbow grease. You come up with a really sort of clean, mold line free. Damage 15, burst 4, combi rifle. Again, let's glue in the little receptacle. And get together correctly, which would be that. Now I got to figure out this little sort of, I guess, magazine on the inside or outside of its arm. Mm. I'm just going to take a look at the box art we have for it. Oh. Right, like that. Trying all the most complicated ways of putting it together. It makes a lot of sense. Actually, look at the damn picture of it. Another good thing about Psycast is it's so damn light. The glue doesn't take long to actually hold it together. You can sort of hold it by the heavier piece. Sort of just sits there and dries. I'll leave that for now. Put it on down gently. Let that sort of set. Partly because this is the arm I want to use as a guide. Figuring out how the rest of the body goes. Because this one is sort of in the way, quote unquote, of his leg. As I can figure out actually what he's supposed to look like. That's, yeah, like that. It's certainly not the simplest one to put together, the Caskuda. But sometimes with complexity, a bit of beauty, and that's certainly not sat right. No, definitely not. Oh, shit. That's better. Okay. Nothing but a tough love and pushing plastic really hard together. Can't solve. Decent fit if you're really picky. You get a tiny gap there. I'd honestly, if you've got a product like Zapper Gap or Filler Gap, that's all you really need. You wouldn't even need to really green stuff it. Right. Now I got this arm connected, I can make sure that it's not going to interfere, which it doesn't, lovely, with this leg. Okay, so that's what I was concerned about, is that this arm would knock into the leg and have to sort of finagle it. But that's not the case here. Right. Resurrected Caskuda does fit together relatively well. Okay. Leg on. Oh, I was almost concerned about why that came up in one piece. Forgetting that I'd actually stuck it together. Ooh, let's not have that happen. Certain about the placing of that leg. Right, now I know that fits, I'm going to actually place this one first. I'm going to add just a bit more super glue. I reckon I normally would. For a plastic model, just to make sure everything fits and holds really easily. Just getting stuck to the model there. Let's get our other arm on right there. Yep. Lovely. Go. That's the majority of our Caskuda boy put together. Just got to clean up the connection afterwards of that bum plate. Didn't realize that it just needed a bit of cleaning up. Just so that connection is actually, maybe I'm talking out of my ass. No, I reckon magic of flexibility of Siocast, a little bit of pressure, that connection will be just fine. There you go. Just fine. Don't really know, he had quite the bum on him, and I honestly think I've just put it on upside down. Looking at the picture. No, I definitely didn't. I just put it on a little low. Much nicer in that position. Yeah, you know what? I will clean that up. Take that back. Alright, I'll be back. I'm just going to clean up here and obviously clean up the wings because I completely forgot. I completely missed them. Okay, and we're back to just cleaning the last little bit of our Caskuda, putting his bum piece on, other leg, and putting on his two wings. So we'll start with the bum piece again. Again, I just was cleaning that up. Sort of looks messy because of the old from the super glue from the last attempts. Just push them on. Yeah, it'll fit. The Caskuda booty. I didn't realize it had such a big bum because it's adding to sort of the bug motif. Go against the grain. I'm just going to put it on, not on the receptacle, the nub here. That's the leg. Not the actual shape of the pegs. Once I did pass primary school, I can match shapes. There we go. And our last little bit, which is to pop on his wings. These are which I just forgot completely when I was cleaning the rest of the parts. And actually what I will do, before I do that, is that this surface here just sort of sits flat against part of the body. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that as well so I can push it both together, just so you don't have sort of this flexing and having the other part sort of fall off. That way we can stick them both on, both flush. There we go. One set of wings. Optical. Guess I'll just dab it on here. Not looking to put on much. Stick sets of wings on as well. Ooh, just popped his arm off. There we go. Stake to put the wings on last. Another difficult area to reach. Maybe I can get this arm off. Easier on myself. Nope. Nope, man, it's stuck on and I'm not willing to try and get it off. Say it without wobbling it too much because I'm not still at all. Do your thing. Ah. This arm comes off because I did a better job sticking that one on. Just a little bit more of that off. Didn't quite do the job I thought I did. Yeah, we'll give that a shot now. Okay, push it in from that little corner there. And of whilst you dislodge it. Oh. The final piece that gives you the most bloody issues. It's just the super glue will not sit on it. Sand. Last thing to do. Oh, Caskuda buddy on his base. Again, I'm just gonna, like I did with Maximus, I'm just going to blue tack him to it. Ease of painting up his base. You guys can see the final result. There we go. For all that, our little Caskuda buddy is put together. Honestly, not all that difficult to put together compared to, I reckon, any other tag I've had. Obviously, it's getting a little bit more complicated as the tags go on. But he is, now that I've seen him all sort of put together, he is a really nice. He is a really nice tag. I really do actually like the aesthetic they've got going for him, that sort of rhino beetle bug. I'll be interested to see what he does when his profile hits Infinity Army, because I reckon he's going to be quite the nuisance. Little bumblebee butt there. Anyway, thank you, Lost of Lieutenant listeners. This has been Jacob taking a look at the Caskuda from the Gen Con pre-order exclusive pre-order pack. Thank you to CB for sending us these guys to take a look at a couple of weeks early. And hopefully that's been a good guide into sort of putting him together, seeing what the process is like, convincing you to buy a nice polishing emery board so that you can enjoy a nice clean Siocast miniature. Anyway guys, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.